Looking forward to it. Very excited today.
I have a question. So we've heard Google talk about AI for what, years now, and it's been behind a lot of your products. But for some reason, it feels like it's actually here now. Like it is finally at our doorsteps. But considering it's been around for so long, why does 2023 feel so different?
In some ways, it's interesting. People are noticing it more. For us, we've always been working on AI, and at any given year, we take the state of the art and put it in our products. You saw in the Gmail example, like Smart Reply. At the time, that's what AI could do, and we did Smart Reply and we did Smart Compose. Now we can do a lot more. But I think the world's attention is tuned into AI, so in some ways, it's meeting the moment, and also the technology has gotten a lot more capable. It's at an inflection point to some extent, and so seeing it all now actually in real products. People have heard about generative AI, people have heard about large language models, and now you're seeing it in the context of products you use every day.
Right.
So I've had people react because they use Google Docs and they're like, oh, you mean I can ask it and it'll just now give me suggestions like that? So I think that's what makes it exciting.
So you know what? Speaking of the Help Me Write feature that's in Gmail, I personally really love the idea. I find writing emails dreadful. So having a tool that's going to be able to just kind of help speed up the process, I think it's really awesome. But just from a leadership perspective, I'm curious, what do you think about your team potentially sending you emails that were generated with AI?
That's a good question. I think about it. Hopefully, we don't have this situation where an AI sends the email and the other AI responds, and that's not what we
Getting back
want.
and forth.
I actually think over time there'll be a premium for human voices and human experiences. But I think that matters for certain moments, right? So when you see that airline voucher example, I think that it's
Right.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you had a real life assistant, you would have asked the assistant to write that email.
Right.
But you shouldn't ask the assistant to write an email to your son while he's in college, right? So that's not what you would use it for. So I think people will, people adapt to these things well. And so I think over time, these things should be used for the right things. And so maybe that's how it'll evolve.
Yeah, there would be some like moral ethics behind some like the
Societal
certain,
expectations.
right,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know I heard the word responsibility a lot today. That was a clear theme, and I see that in things like being AI generated images having metadata and watermarks. So we're moving into this territory, it feels like, where AI is going to be a big part of everything we see online. What role do you guys feel like you're playing in making sure like the tools are used in the right way beyond watermarks? Are there other safeguards you feel like you have to create, or
Over time, I think in some of these areas there'll be laws, be privacy laws or other forms of regulation which may govern, how things should be used. We are trying to be proactively responsible where we can. Like we never offered facial recognition APIs because they could be misused. In some of these cases where the technology is pretty advanced, we only carefully give it under license to trusted parties, right? So we are going to put in safeguards, but ultimately it's about giving users the choice to. The reason watermarking is important, so that people know that they are seeing an AI generated image. And so we plan to take these things deliberately and slowly, sometimes at the risk of not always being first in the market, but getting it right. Because, we are putting it in products which are used at scale. So I think it's important to get it right.
and I think that's a key component. Like a lot of these products are touching regular people, everyday people. And I think there are just so many messages about AI out there right now. I don't think everyone kind of quite gets just how vast it is, and they hear certain things. There may be fear here and there. For the people who just hear that AI is just creating fake things, what do you say to that person what AI truly is, at least to you and Google?
I genuinely see AI, playing a lot of beneficial role in society in like a myriad, countless ways. I think about a kid wanting to learn something, and over time, really having an AI tutor, being able to, at his or her own pace, understanding where they are, being able to teach, and and obviously hopefully a teacher co-working with this thing, assigning, etc. And you can take that and think it along many different categories. So the way to think about it is, if all of us could have a powerful helper, collaborator, and assistant, I think that's the power of it. Like with any other technology, it can be misused. And so that's the earlier part of our conversation. And we have to make sure we get that balance right. But I think it's very exciting about what all it can do for people.
I know it's just wild that there's so many different use cases. Me in particular, my son at Austin, he has like a ton of food allergies. And my wife and I, we've actually used like some AI programs where we were able to ask it to create recipes that didn't have dairy, egg, shellfish, peanuts.